O'Clock.
Die Tribüne erhebt sich und die Halle in Linz bebt ein erstes Mal. Linz schlägt zu! Das ist unglaublich, was die Black Wings hier zelebrieren!
Flying High, ein Unibet Hockey O'Clock Spezial. It kind of saddens me that it's already the 8th of 10 episodes, and then again it brings a lot of joy to my heart and hopefully a lot of joy to Linz fans that the 8th episode finally brings him Danny Irmen. I'm so thankful that he's taking the time. He's now on the Unibet Hockey O'Clock line. Danny, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, Martin, thanks for having me. Super excited to be on here. Brings back a lot of memories. Nothing but great memories in Linz. I can't wait. I got to get back there someday. Absolutely loved my time in Linz, Austria.
Wait, you haven't been back to Linz yet? I mean, a lot has changed, but I'd reckon a lot of fans would still cherish you and everything that you brought to the Linz program.
Yeah, no, I haven't been back. I was hoping that, the team might do something for the 10-year anniversary, but that didn't happen. So, nope, I haven't been back to Europe since I retired. So once maybe get a little older, I'll head back over there and hit some of the cities that I lived in, and definitely had stopped in Linz for sure. I got a lot of friends there still.
Now, as you've been retired for quite some time, as this is the 10-year anniversary of the championship, and obviously, hopefully, there's going to be a 20-year anniversary with everyone on site back in Linz. And I've mentioned it so many times. It's so incredible that already a full decade has passed since that revered championship team brought that coveted second championship to Linz. How do you look back on that magic carpet ride of a season?
Yeah, it was, to be honest, it was probably one of my most fun years of playing hockey, if not the most fun. It was right up there. We had a special team, great coaching, great ownership. Everybody in that locker room wanted to win. The Austrians were, some of my best friends. They were great players, great people. The imports, we were all there for one reason and one reason only, and that was to win a championship. And, a lot of times you don't get that on teams. Some people are there for the money. Some people are there for vacation. Some people want to move on. We were there for one reason and one reason only, and that was to win a championship in Linz.
Now, I know that there is a WhatsApp group of all the championship team alums, so to speak, and until that had been set up, how many people did you keep in touch with? How many people were still in your life of that championship team up until everybody was thrown into the WhatsApp group again?
Yeah, we started that just because it's so many good memories. I keep in touch with a lot of them. Obviously a little bit more, a lot of the North Americans, but the Austrians, I still keep in touch with, Phil, Lucas, Oberkofer, Baumgartner once in a while. Just anytime you see somebody that, on social media that you played with, you reach out. The North Americans, I talk with Keller, Wiedemann. Heisey's actually in Minneapolis this weekend. I'm going to go see him. His son's playing in a tournament. I haven't seen him for 10 years, so that'll be fun to see him today. Keep in touch with Murphy. He's up here once in a while in Minneapolis for his son's tournaments. Any way you can. And then we got that group on WhatsApp, and it's pretty funny. It's late night texts, pictures, all sorts of stuff. It's good to have that and just remember the good times and the fun times in Linz.
Great stuff. And hopefully one or two parts of this series make it onto the group as well. Very thankful that each and every alum that I've inquired about so far has taken his time to come onto the pod and talk about the memories. I want to start a little bit differently, and this is going to be a little different episode than the previous ones because you're a unique character. Everybody has told me that Danny Irmen had to be the funniest guy in the locker room during that year, which is a pretty neat distinction. And it's also because of how you got to Austria and whom you experienced up until that. And I mentioned that in commentary, when doing commentary in Linz games with you involved a couple of times. The first thing that caught my eye was your place of birth. Now, every movie fan and now every fan of TV series knows about the great town of Fargo that you were born in. How does it feel to be brought up in Fargo to be born in Fargo and then move on and conquer the world?
Yeah, no, it's Fargo. It's that movie put us on the map. So people in Austria know about Fargo. That's good. I love Fargo. It's a cold city. It's I was only 4 hours from Fargo here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, but Fargo is very flat, so it's very windy. So it's the same temperature as Minneapolis, but you get a lot of wind. I grew up in Fargo until I was 16 and loved it. My parents still live there. Played hockey every single day. Just loved hockey. We played outside in the cold. We played early in the morning. We played all the time, and except for the summers. And we went on to play baseball or soccer or football, but no, I love Fargo. But when it did come to 16 years old, it was time to move on and get out of Fargo and try to make a name for myself and get noticed. So I had to move on from Fargo.
Austrian fans hopefully do realize that you said it's only 4 hours from Fargo to Minneapolis. 4 hours, that's almost a cross-country trip as regards to Austria in its entirety. Within 4 hours, you could probably visit Germany, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, France, Austria, like 5 countries. So yep. we're just talking about a whole different scale. But interestingly enough, and that kind of fits also the still ongoing and probably at the time of this release of the podcast concluded playoffs of the Ice Hockey League. 2 of the Final Four coaches in the league or 2 of the coaches of the Final Four teams in the league with Rob Daum and Kevin Constantine, you played under. How would those 2 coaches compare and differentiate in retrospect?
Very different coaches. Very different. I had Rob my first year in Houston, first year pro out of college, and Rob was great to me. He liked me. He gave me opportunities in the power play, on the penalty kill. More of a free wheel. Let's go play hockey. You're a skilled player, make plays. I love playing for Rob. It was unfortunate that we didn't have the best team that year and we didn't make playoffs, and Minnesota was looking for a change. Had nothing to do with Rob's coaching style. It was the players. We didn't play good that year. We didn't do what Minnesota wanted us to, and it affected the coach. And then Kevin came in, and Kevin's a very disciplined coach. We watch an hour of video every day. You don't block a shot, he'll rewind it and show it and make sure you know that you better block that shot next time. With Kevin, I had a different role. I became a 3rd, 4th liner. Finish every check, block every shot. You're going to play my way or you're not going to play, which we had a lot of success that way. We got to the Final Four one year. We made the playoffs all 3 years. He's a very good coach, but very different style. And so I'm assuming everywhere he's gone, he's had success based on the way that he coaches. He doesn't allow you to make too many mistakes. So it's usually a very low-scoring, mistake-free game.
Now, if one follows the National Hockey League, and we over at Pulse 24, we're incredibly happy that we're allowed to broadcast National Hockey League games. It's always about the top 6 and the bottom 6. The top 6, clear scoring duties. The bottom 6, clear grinding it out duties and keeping the opposition's first and second line occupied. How was it slipping down from the top 6 to the bottom 6, and how eager were you to return to a top 6 lineup status?
Yeah, that was tough. I was top 6 as a rookie. I almost scored 20 goals. And then Kevin came in, Kevin Constantine, and that was a meeting that me and him had, and it was, if you're going to play in the NHL, you'll be a bottom 6 player. So you're going to be a bottom 6 player here. I didn't agree with that. We kind of butted heads right away, but eventually I had to do it to get ice time and have that be my role. It didn't work out for me, unfortunately. But you got to do what your coach says. It's tough, but you'll do anything to make it to the NHL. And if that was my route to the NHL, I was willing to listen to Kevin and hopefully make it work. Like I said, looking back on it, it didn't work out, and ended up in Italy.
Then again, you did make the score sheet on NHL games, and a couple of years ago I read a book. It's called One Night Only, and it's about tales from people, from players who got their one shot at the NHL and only their one shot. And a lot of them didn't know that this one game, this one appearance would be the very only and the very last. How proud are you that you made it to 2 games?
It's bittersweet. Love that I got my NHL games. It's awesome. You can never take that away from me. But at the same time, there's guys that were playing that, it's tough to watch because at one point you were better than them and they're still playing and they're making tons of money and they're doing what they love. But yeah, super proud I got my 2 games. Didn't play a lot, but like I said, you can't take that away. But at the same time, there was once a time where you thought you were going to play 10 years in the NHL. And when, you don't reach that goal, it's a little bittersweet.
I want to talk to you about that specific playoff run that you've already mentioned when you in 08 and 09 made the conference finals in the American Hockey League. You had a playoff run of 20 games. That's by far the longest playoff run that you enjoyed during your career. How, and you mentioned the word bittersweet, and I kind of think it's fitting. On the one hand, you had a long playoff run. On the other hand, you didn't end up with the ultimate prize, winning the championship. How much more were you longing for a championship after going on an extended 20-game playoff run?
Yeah, so that was, I've added up the games. I don't know what they are now, but I think I played that year. I played five or 6 preseason NHL games. I played 3 or 4 AHL preseason games. And then I played the full schedule, which was 78 games or 80 games. And then 20, it ended up being like 115 games that year. It was a magical run. We went game 7, first round we won. We went game 7, second round we won. And then we went game 6 and we lost. We had a good team that was with, Coach Constantine, and we played his style, and it was grind it out, win by 1 goal. And, we came up short, and I think that we just got tired. I remember we won game 7 in Milwaukee of the second round, and we had to fly to Winnipeg, and the only flight was to Fargo. So we flew out the next day to Fargo. We bussed, 6-7 hours up to Winnipeg. We ended up playing the next day. The game 1, I think we lost game 1 like 4-0. We had no chance. And Winnipeg was sitting there waiting for us. So that first game really hurt us. But we made it, we made a run at it and we lost. And when you go that far, you really, really want to win. But you end up with a loss. And like I said, I've been a winner my whole life. I love winning. I hate to lose. So that was tough to play that many games and not get to the finals.
What's interesting about that team is that a lot of them had great careers in Europe. Corey Locke at that time, a point-per-game scorer. Maxime Noro, who turned out to be a great addition for Zurich. John Lammers, who had a successful career in Klagenfurt and now still ongoing in Germany, and many, many more. So that 08-09 season for the Houston Aeros, always something to be looking back on and to have some pride. But as with many, and it's not judgmental, players on the fringe of probably NHL rosters and American Hockey League teams, you found your way or made your way to Europe. How did that one turn out?
Yeah, that was interesting. So that was the year that I played my 2 NHL games. My contract was up in Houston. They had a new general manager, new coaching staff, people that didn't draft me. And at the end of the year, they said they'd like me to come back to Houston on an AHL contract. And I thought it'd be best for me to get out of Houston. I loved it there, but I think I was too comfortable. The weather was great. You got to golf almost every day. And I thought, I got to go somewhere else and get back to, someone that put me in that top 6 and give me that opportunity. Well, it turns out that I was only getting offers from AHL teams, and I wanted an NHL contract. And it came to October, and my agents called and said, if you want to play, there's a team in Italy that wants you. And at that point, I was just so fed up with everything. I said, fine, let's go to Italy. I had no idea about European hockey, no idea about Italian hockey. I talked to a lot of people. I learned that doesn't matter what league you're in. It's tough over there. You better be ready to play. And that was probably the best advice I got. And ended up going to Italy. And I'll never forget that first day when you're driving from Munich to Bolzano and the mountains and the vineyards and the cliffs, and pretty cool experience to end up in Italy, my first time, and see Europe that way and be part of the culture. So I love my time in Bolzano too. It was a magical place to live.
Immediate impact in Bolzano, point per game scorer during the regular season, during the playoffs. Bolzano, the most successful program in all of Italian hockey. And he's still coming up short, like the previous years as well. Also going on an extended run, losing in the semis. Was there ever a point where you thought, oh boy, here we go again?
You know, that we should have won that year. I think we were up 3-1 against Brunico, and we just couldn't finish it. And Brunico was really good, but we had all the players to win, and I think we ended up losing 3 straight, losing Game 7. That's my only Game 7 I've ever lost, and it was in Brunico. And I don't know. We had a lot of guys where it was their first time in Europe, including myself. And I don't know if guys were ready to go home. It was a long season. We're playing in Italy. It's, guys couldn't get their sticks. We got paid late. I don't know if guys were just ready to get the heck out of there or what. But yeah, we didn't get it done. We should. I wish I could go back and play that series, because we definitely should have won that. I think Brunico wanted it more when it came down to it.
And funny how things happen, because a couple of years later, Bolzano would join the league that you played in a little later on, but you missed them by a year, or they missed you by a year. Bolzano joined the league in 13 and 14. That was a year where you had already moved on to Thurgau. So kind of you kind of eluded yourselves and vice versa. But bring listeners back to that summer of 2011. Now, you and Rob Daum having a history. Now, Rob Daum probably knowing that you were already in Europe or had European playing experience. How did the recruiting process go?
Yeah, so Rob reached. I was in the summer, and in my head, I thought I could make another run at the NHL over here in North America. And looking back on it, there's not many teams that are going to take a guy from Italy here in North America. It's just how it is. Nothing against Italian hockey, but it's just, it's just how it is. They're looking at younger guys coming out of college, coming out of juniors. They're not looking at Danny Irmen from Italy. So Rob gave me a call and told me about Linz, Austria, and I knew nothing about it. And I said, Rob, I'm going to wait. I want to wait. I think I can get a contract over here. Rob said, okay, well, let me know. We got about 3 weeks here. That's it. 3 weeks to a month. And, Rob gave me almost right to the end. And then I realized that, do I want to go through this again where don't have a contract, wait till October, November. Linz, I started reaching out to people, found out how great Linz was in Austria and the hockey. And, it's a place where you can make a career financially, and have a great life. And gave Rob a call back, and I said, let's do it. I'm ready. Let's go. And I think I had a contract 2 or 3 days later, packed up and got ready to go pretty darn quick. I don't remember the timing on it, but it was pretty quick, because he gave me all the way to the end before I had to get over there.
But when you did sign on the dotted line, was it relief, or was there a little bit of disappointment that nothing, quote unquote, better had worked out on your end?
Probably a little bit of, why couldn't I stay in North America? What happened? And looking back at my stats, when Kevin came in to coach me, my stats plummeted, and that's what everybody looks at. They want to see your stats. They don't, so that's the reason why I didn't get more opportunity in North America. And to be honest, I had no idea what to expect in Linz. Like I said, it was maybe the best place I've ever lived, the best city I've ever played in. So yeah, I don't think it was a relief until I got over there and played my first game. And I thought, holy shit, this is going to be fun.
By the way, you're allowed to use expletives on this podcast. There's this little arrow that I ticked in a box, and it says that there's going to be an expletive sign on this. So go ahead. The one interesting thing that I found out about you after talking to so many former teammates of you came from Martin Pfanner, and he mentioned you specifically. Because I was asking him about the atmosphere, about the mood in training camp, and about the players that try to excel early. And he said the intensity that you brought during each and every practice, especially early on in training camp, was unmatched. Why was that?
That's just the way that I am, Martin. Ever since I was little, it's North America, we say you have one gear, and it's gear 5. I just go, I want to win. I'm a competitor. I hate to lose. If it's practice, I wanted to prove myself, to Rob and the Austrians. And, I still have it. I'm still a good hockey player. And Rob knew that. And Rob knew the way I was going to play. He knew I was going to come over there and be physical and stir the pot and score goals and do everything I could to win. And that's just my mentality. That's just how I was. And sometimes, sometimes younger kids need to see that. And the minute they see it, why, if one of my best players is my hardest worker, why can't I? And I think that the teams that I've been on that aren't successful, our best workers or our best players don't work hard. The teams that I've been on that win, the best players are the hardest workers, and it just spreads to everybody. So I guess to answer that, it's just the way that I was.
And you've mentioned a great word, the word prove. You wanted to prove it that you were good. How much of a prove the doubters wrong attitude was in this prove it all kind of realm?
Yeah, I think that was just kind of the mentality I had growing up in Fargo. Is not a lot of kids come out of Fargo, and I've just had that my whole life. I don't think it was, I'm going to Austria. I'm gonna prove to everybody that I'm good. At this point, I knew I was a good player. I just wanted to win. I wanted to be in a good culture, which Rob had in Linz, and do everything I could to win and help people along the way, the younger kids, and I don't think I was at that point in my career. I don't think I was really trying to prove myself. It was more about, I'm here. We're going to have fun. We're going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's it.
We've tackled the high intensity that he brought to the club, but what we haven't talked about is the influence that he had on the locker room. And on the previous episode 5, and that's the unfortunate part, you couldn't have listened to it because we're recording this a couple of days after I recorded the episode with person number 7 of this series. That person told me a little bit about the way you brought the locker room to gel. That person is, of course, no one else than Alex Weston. And he sent me this. I want to listen in to you, what he said, and then we're going to talk about.
All right.
The thing I grew to really love and appreciate about Danny Irmen, I think his personality was really important for our kind of team dynamic. And, the years prior in Linz, so that group was a very, very close-knit group. And there wasn't a lot of, everybody got along. There wasn't any friction that I can remember. Not that something doesn't happen in practice or guys get heated a little bit, but there wasn't any real friction. And Danny comes in as a personality. We're all sports fans, and we'll be talking about something that's going on in the NFL. And Danny has a way of driving these debates, and he might take a ridiculous stance on it, but it just drives that sort of energy. And when I say friction, I mean it in a good way. But I feel like Danny was a player for us that provided that, gave our locker room a little bit of edge at times. And I think it's important. The more I'm around it, I think you need it. You can't, it can't be all rainbows and sunshine all the time. You need some of that bite to push a group forward. And I thought he brought that, and it was kind of evident from day one.
Nice words from a great player. Obviously, if someone talks about me in 10 years' time, I would love to be similar to this. But as he talked about the locker room persona of Danny Irmen, how did, from your point of view, this locker room persona develop over the years?
Yeah, well, first, Westy was the glue to our team in that locker room, too. We, talking about our locker room, we had a really good locker room. It was everybody. It's hard. There's so many different personalities in a locker room. And I just kind of had that attitude that I love hockey. I love having fun. And you spend a lot of time in the locker room. So I'm going to have fun in the locker room. I'm going to have fun on the ice. I'm going to work hard, but I'm not there to be miserable, right? I'm there to have fun. If I'm miserable, I don't want to do it anymore. So I think I've always kind of been the jokester, have fun. The teams that I've won championships, we've had great locker rooms. And, it's funny when you meet someone like yourself, which I've met along the ways, but sometimes you just like to argue. And, you're wrong, but you're going to, if it's a subject, if it's football, if it was politics, whatever it was, I knew I could get Westy going. I knew I could get Westy mad. So whatever Westy's stance was on something, I would take the opposite stance and I would argue it. And I think that's what he's referring to. And then Wiedemann sat next to me, and Wiedemann would always jump on my side. So now Westy had two guys arguing against him. So yeah, it's just, we had fun, and guys know that you're full of crap, but then they know what you're doing, but you can still get to them. And yeah, that's definitely what he's talking about. I think I started that year. It gets to be a long season, and one day I started on the whiteboard as, I don't know how you say it in German, but a riddle. So a riddle is the puzzle that you got to solve. I started putting the riddle of the day on the board, just something to do, something fun, and see who could get it. And so we had a great group. And like I said, I'm here to have fun. If I'm not having fun, I'm done. And that was a real fun locker room.
And we talked about this before eventually recording the conversation. Each and every member of the Black Wings said the funniest guy in the locker room had to be Danny Irmen. The prankster had to be, or the prankster number one had to be Danny Irmen. So we kind of thought it might be nice to share a couple of stories that happened during that year, and also to talk about a couple of people that haven't been mentioned yet on Flying High on the Unibet Hockey O'Clock series, but who had a big part and a big hand in eventually coming up with the championship. And one of the people that you've got a great story on is obviously Franklin McDonald, and it's got something to do with facial hair.
Yeah, so I had a lot of friends on that team. I would have to say Frank was one of the best friends in that year. I still talk to him. We drove to the rink every day. We lived next to each other. Man, is he funny! You think he's a different type of funny. He's really witty. He's always got something to say, and he's very calm. And I need that. He's very, hey, Danny, calm down, like settle down. And he was that guy that could do that, And so that year we won it. Me and Frank made a bet who could grow a mustache the longest, and it was just it was in the locker room. He made fun of me because I couldn't grow facial hair. I made fun of him because he couldn't. And we said, well, let's have a bet who can grow it the longest. And we had a pink wig. And I know some Linz fan out there has this photo. But the loser had to make a lap around after we won a game wearing the pink wig, clapping to the fans all by himself. So I think me and Frank, we had a mustache for almost 3 months. It was long. And one day Frank comes to the rink and it was shaved. And, he just had enough of it. He had shaved it. I had won the bet. So the next game we won, Frank wore the pink wig and skated all around the rink, clapping and cheering for everybody. So that's the story about Frank. We just did stuff like that to have fun and keep things going.
But just to back this up a little and figure this out, you haven't got hold of the photo with Franklin McDonald skating on Linz ice with the pink wig yet?
I've seen it on the internet somewhere, but then I've looked for it and I can't find it anymore. So it's somewhere on there. We got to get that. We got to send that to Frank. Get that on there.
You know what? We're going to put this out to the people. If anyone's listening to this podcast, and a lot of people actually do, and I'm very thankful for it, he or she who's got that photo in a high kind of quality, send it to Unibet Hockey O'Clock at gmail.com. And whoever sends it to this address, he or she will get rewarded with a Hockey O'Clock t-shirt. Hopefully this person sends the photo onwards. And of course, Danny, I'll pass it on to you so you can tease Franklin McDonald a little bit about it. We got that one great story about Franklin McDonald, but one of the often overlooked players on that championship squad was Mike Ouellet. First year in Linz, coming in as a top scorer from Graz. Fairly quiet guy, but if anyone can make fun of him and if anyone can make him laugh, it's probably you.
Yeah, no, Mike was great. I think he was our leading scorer. I mean, he, like you said, like he was quietly one of our best players. And he was him and Pat Leahy, that line, they were phenomenal in the playoffs. They were lights out. We had a group of about 6 that played cards in the back of the bus, and Mike Ouellet was the big card player. And it was late in the year. It was I got a funny story about Mike. It was at the end of the year, and I think we had first place wrapped up. It was a Sunday game. It was a 6-hour bus ride home. I don't remember where it was. We didn't have practice the next day, and Mike might have snuck some bottles of wine on the bus.
Mike, keyword.
Yeah, I might have had some too, but we'll blame it on Mike. And Coach Dom, he didn't let us drink on the bus. A lot of teams I played for in Europe let us, but Rob never let us, so we always had to sneak it on. And Mike might have drank too many bottles of wine that Sunday driving home. And I don't know if anyone's ever been on the Linz bus, but the back, there's one place you can lay down on the floor. And Mike stopped playing cards and nobody could really figure out why. And it was a long bus trip and it was maybe 2 a.m. And we get to the bus and everyone's getting off and Mike's still sleeping. Everybody gets off the bus. Someone tries to wake him up. We pack our cars up. Rob's gone. And, I can't remember our bus driver's name, but was he great? And we're all leaving and the bus driver's honking at us to stop. We come back and he couldn't wake Mike up. So 3 or 4 of us had to carry Mike off the bus, put him in our car and drive him home. And, I think Rob found out about it. I think we got in big trouble for it, but Mike Ouellet drinking too many bottles of wine on the bus ride home. I'll never forget carrying him off the bus with like 3 guys hitting his head on the chairs as you try to get him out the door. But you'll have to ask the next person on the podcast if they remember that, because I'll never forget that. Gosh, was that funny.
I want to do the next person guessing on this podcast still a little secret, as I gave away your appearance on Alex Westland's episode. But hopefully Mike Ouellet is okay with sharing this story. It's been 10 years and I actually had a laugh. I hope he's having one, and I hope a lot of Linz fans have one as well, as a lot of them like to cherish the memories from that 11-12 season. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but one last person, and he himself turns out to be quite the prankster. One last story, one last memory that you're having in the kind of fun category has to do with Danny Oberkofler and the finals run.
Yeah, so me and Obi have very similar personalities. He likes to have fun. He was a little bit younger, but he was great. I don't know if it's because both our names are Danny, but we're very similar personalities. And I'll never forget. So the year before I came in, they had lost in the finals, I believe. We played. We were in the finals, and this is a story where I think that I helped the team kind of change the attitude in the locker room. And it wasn't the older guys; it might have been more the younger guys, as in Danny Oberkofler's age. And we lost game 1 at home against Klagenfurt, and we're in the locker room, and Oberkofler comes and sits next to me. We're talking, and he goes, "Here we go again, just like last year." And I looked at him and I go, "Obi, what do you mean?" I go, "We win the next 4, we get to win it at home. If we don't lose game 1, we have to win it in Klagenfurt." And he kind of laughs at me. So then we go to Klagenfurt, we win. He's on the bus. I walk by him. I go, "Told you, 3 more, we get to win it at home." He kind of laughs at me. Game 3, we win at home. He comes over to me. I said, "Obi, 2 more, we get to win it at home." I told you, it's not like last year. Go to Klagenfurt. I think we won in overtime. We won in overtime in Klagenfurt. I remember game 4. Walk by Obi on the bus. Said, "Obi, 1 more, we get to win it at home." And finally, he looked at me and he believed it. Holy shit, we're gonna win this at home. So then we go to game 5 at home. We end up winning it. Huge party. I'll never forget it. And Obi comes and gives me a big hug, and he's like, "Holy shit, you were right. We had to lose game 1 to win it at home." And, I tell that story a lot because it's a mentality. It's an attitude. It's, no, here we go again. No, look at the positive. We're going to win this at home in front of Linz. This building is going to blow up because the fans are going to be so loud. We're going to have young guys running across the street to the party in their underwear, having an absolute blast. I made a bet with Bobby Lucas that if we won it, he would have a beer and a cigarette, which he never did. But, those are the memories I'll always remember is that night we won it. We ended up going to the bar. Guys are DJing. The fans were incredible. But yeah, it was, that mentality of, no, hey, we're going to win this thing at home, and it's going to be one of the greatest nights of your life.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing these couple of stories, and hopefully we've done right by Franklin McDonald, Mike Ouellet, and obviously Danny Oberkofler. And yes, I do think Danny is a telltale sign that you guys are incredibly funny. But looking at the season as a whole, and it kind of had already started with Bolzano, and no disrespect to the Italian league at that time, but Linz probably being a notch or 2 higher than the Italian league, and you being almost a point per game scorer. Again, did you ever get to feel, did you kind of rediscovered your scoring touch, or was it just because of the role, the specific one that Rob Daum assigned to you?
It was when I came over to Europe and I got to be a top 6 guy and play like I did in college and score goals and be physical and play all the time and be the guy. I needed that. I was in Houston where I became a bottom 6 guy. It wasn't fun anymore. And coming to Europe and getting that role and scoring again and getting points and being the guy that's out with a minute left to tie the game or to win the game. Like I need that in myself. And Europe gave that back to me. If it was Italy, if it was Austria, Switzerland, Germany, I got that back. And I'm so happy I went to Europe to rediscover that for sure.
Obviously, I've got something in mind by asking this question, but I want to ask it as openly and with a lot of ways to go as possible. From all of your goals that year did you scored, and you scored 25 in the regular season and 7 in the playoffs. What was your favorite one?
Game 7 against Vienna at home. I got to play with Keller and Heisey, and man, we were a good line. Heisey made all the plays. Me and Keller got to score a lot of the goals. And Game 7 against Vienna, we weren't losing that. I knew that if we win that game, we're winning the whole thing. And lining up in the first period, right when the game started, Heisey puts me on the face-off dot. He wins it back. And I one time it to go up 1-0 about a minute and a half into the game. And the place erupted. And right then we knew we're winning this. Minute or 2 minutes in, we scored. And I just knew that goal, I think, gave our team what we needed to beat Vienna. And I think we ended up winning 6 or 7 to 1 or 2. We blew them out of the water. But yeah, I'll never forget that one. That was a good one.
You indeed finished winning the game 8-3. An incredible show of effort and show of strength. But the question I was asking about the goal that you remember most vividly. Also, it's got something attached to it because I have my sights set on your overtime game-winning goal in Game 2 in the semis against Ljubljana. And I always imagine scoring a game-winning goal in overtime being special, but scoring it on the road and letting like the air out of a balloon, is that even better? Scoring it on the road?
Yeah, that was a big goal. Ljubljana wasn't that good that year, and we knew we could beat them. Going up 2-0 really, like you said, sucked the air out of them. That was a big goal, but I'm telling you, scoring a goal in playoffs in Linz, Austria at home with the fans, it's pretty electric. And, if I could have played in Linz, Austria my whole career, I would have, because I love playing in that place. That building, those fans, they are unbelievable.
Then again, I did mention that goal against Ljubljana as well, because it's tied to the trivia question of this episode. Obviously, each and every episode of Flying High has featured a trivia question so far, and these are vital to answer because there are 2 prizes to be awarded after the conclusion of the Flying High special, the 10-part episode about the Linz championship team of 2011-2012. One prize is going to be the DVD about the championship run of the Black Wings Linz that has been produced in a limited amount, obviously, and is very cherished by all the people that do possess it. And the other prize is a game-worn Linz jersey of Brian Lebler, the captain of the Black Wings from this year. What do you have to do? You have to answer the following question correctly and send your answer to unibethockeyoclock@gmail.com and only unibethockeyoclock@gmail.com. Trivia question is, at what exact time of the game was the game-winning goal in semifinal 2, Ljubljana against Linz, scored by Danny Irmen? The answers to unibethockeyoclock@gmail.com. And speaking of Unibet, they of course still have a special offer for all the new customers. It's a 400% welcome bonus. Just use the promo code hockey-bonus. That's again hockey-bonus while putting 10 euros into your new account for the first time and receive 40 euros for free. That's right, for free. More details in the show notes of this podcast. Unibet, by players, for players. And Danny, speaking of that DVD, has it still got a place in your home, or did it go up to the attic?
No, I still got it, but the one that I got, so I got 2 of them because one won't play on a North American DVD player. And so I got the game, but the highlight video, I got to go online and try to find bits and pieces of it because I brought the wrong one home. So, they did a great job. That was Service TV at the time, Service, and wow, did they do a cool job watching that. The memories was super. They did a great job. I love trying to find highlights online and reminiscing about those days once in a while.
Well, make sure to get a proper DVD player so that you'll be able to play it to you, friends, relatives, and whatnot. As we talk about this playoff run, that Game 7 against Vienna that you dominated, that semis where you knew that Ljubljana wouldn't pose the biggest challenge. How did you head, or with what kind of mindset did you head into the finals?
Klagenfurt was a good team. And I think Klagenfurt beat Red Bull that year, if I remember correctly. I'll have to go back and look. I think the one team that we didn't want to play was what's the name of the team that they lost in the first round? They ended up going to the KHL.
Medveščak Zagreb. No, Klagenfurt beat Salzburg in the quarters, and then they beat Medveščak Zagreb in the semis.
Yeah, and I don't think we wanted to play Zagreb. Zagreb had our number that year. They were big, tough. They would fight. They were physical. So I think when we saw Klagenfurt win, we knew Klagenfurt was good, but it was kind of like, oh, good. We don't got to go to Zagreb. And then, we lost Game 1. And like I said, it was just, my mentality was, I've won, 4 or 5 championships in my career. And And I've never won one at home. I've always won on the road. So I was like, hey, we get to win this at home in the greatest place to play in Austria with the best fans. This is going to be awesome. Now, realistically, I think we ended up going to 1 or 2 overtimes. Each game was 1 goal. Westy played out of his mind. We got some big goals by defensemen. I remember, we had big goals by defensemen. Everybody contributed to win. And we had that mentality, we're going to do whatever it takes to win. And there's no stopping us. And it didn't matter if you were first line, third, fourth line, everybody had a big part of that championship run. Actually thinking about that, it's pretty funny. Was it game 6 in Vienna when Wiedemann scored the goal and they said it didn't go in? Just memories like that. Our defensemen were unbelievable in that playoff run. I think Wiedemann had a huge goal late in the third period against Klagenfurt, the blocker high that you'll see on this DVD if you win it. That was kind of the goal that got us to win that championship. It was game 2, I think, game 4, and that was it. Game 4, yeah.
And you yourself, not to how should I put it? Not to not talk enough about you, but you scored a goal in game number 2. You scored or assisted to 2 goals in game number 3. You had a hand in a goal in game number 4. Did you have the feeling that you also turned it up a notch during the finals?
Yeah, I think it's natural, right? Hey, we're here. We're going to do this. I was playing really good hockey. It was our line of, Keller had that huge goal in game 5, I think, the first goal. Game 5, I missed an empty net to go up 1-0. Yeah, we were, there was no stopping us, Martin. There just wasn't. And it's kind of funny because Justin Keller and Rob Heisey, we played together all year long, and I'll never forget our first game. Again, somebody might have this on video, but it was a preseason game. We're playing Czech, and Heisey does something stupid and slashes the guy, and it turns into all 3, me, Rob, and Justin fighting. Gloves off. We're fighting in preseason, and we get in the shower, and me and Heisey are laughing about it. I'd fight back here. I had no problem. And so we're in the shower, the game's still going on, and Keller comes in the shower and just starts yelling at Heisey. I'm not here to fight. You idiot, what are you doing starting this? This is preseason. I don't want to fight. And then for us to go on and how well we played all year long and what we did in the finals, it might have all started from Rob Heisey's slash that we all had to fight for.
Funny how some of the things turn out, but the one thing I want to revert back to is just the fact that you were able to celebrate the championship on home ice. We did the math a couple of days ago on our own show, and there's not even a handful of teams that was lucky enough to celebrate their championship, and we're talking about the last 15 years of league action right here, on home ice. How special did that one feel for you personally?
Martin, you're giving me goosebumps. I still remember it. It was insane. It's one of the coolest days of my life. And you had Westy on. I don't know if he talked about it, but
he did.
Did you hear what they did to him after the game?
Yes, I know. And not only him, but also Danny Irmen. Yeah,
that they had to go do a drug test, and he missed half the celebration. But no, I'll never forget the fans on the ice. Our owner with the huge champagne bottle. The fans somehow got into the locker room. It was madness, and it was so cool. And then after we left the rink, the young guys were running right across the street. Then we ended up going to a bar, and I was behind the bar. You couldn't even move in the bar. I was behind the bar filling the trophy up, and we had our championship shirts on and our hats. And somebody that day when I was behind the bar stole my hat. So somebody in Linz has my championship hat. I don't know if stole it or I got drunk and lost it, but
either way, if he or she wants to give it back, that's the opportunity right here.
They can send it to me. I'll autograph it and send it back. No, but it was, you can't describe it. You just can't. You had to have been there. The the fans chanting, Baumgartner shooting with a second left to make it 3-1. And then, the next day, I'll never forget, I don't think I went to bed. The next day, my door, knock on my door. It's like 9 a.m. and it's Obi with the trophy. And he's like, let's go. And I'm like, all right. So we just kept it going for another full day, and the whole team showed up, and oh man, was that fun. And what a special place to play and win it at home. It would not have been the same winning in Klagenfurt. It wouldn't.
And this is why, to me as well, this championship run, this team, so special. You never look back. You always keep winning. You hardly ever lost 2 in a row, and you ended up winning the finals convincingly. If 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, we look back on the 11-12 championship team that brought Linz its second and to this date last championship, what will we remember first? What comes to mind first when thinking of Linz in 11-12?
To be honest, first thing I think of is the fans. Like, that rink was so electric that year. It was every single game. It was just, the other teams didn't want to play us. You came into our rink with our fans, and the way we played and the way that our fans got behind us, other teams did not want to come into that rink. It was a madhouse. And the second thing's the locker room. Like, Coach Dom, Coach Zooks, they were awesome. And our group of guys we had fun. Like, we had fun. We went out on the ice and we won, and we went and had beers at home and we had fun. It was just a special, special, special group, from the Bob Lucases who would never have a beer with me, to the Danny Obakofers, the McDonald's. They would have a beer with me every night, right? It was just, it didn't matter. We all got along. Nobody looked at anybody differently. It was a special group, and the fans were electric.
Couldn't have put it better to round out this conversation. Obviously, your time's very valued, and I'm very thankful that I already got to occupy you for 50 minutes. So thankful that you look back on the 11-12 championship year, and looking forward to having you back on Unibet Hockey O'Clock at some point in time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely, Martin. Thank you, and thanks to the fans and the organization. This was fun. Hopefully, 20-year anniversary, maybe we get all of us back over there and we can relive that night, because that was a special night. So thanks for reliving it for us. We appreciate it.
Exzellente Unterhaltung mit dem schönsten Sport der Welt.
Unibet Hockey O'Clock.